Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. No, I haven't posted in a while, about 2 weeks. Really haven't been feeling motivated. I don't know why. Just got a lot of other stuff going on. But anyway, I picked up an innovative wideband and we're going to install that. Also picked up some stickers for the channel. I'll post those up right here. So these are the stickers I got made. There's an index card for size reference. So I'm gonna be selling one of each for 10 bucks, shipped anywhere. Or I'll sell them for $3 each, shipped anywhere. So if you're interested in any of these, hit me up on Instagram or Facebook Messenger. So if you're interested in those, just hit me up and I'll get those out ASAP. So I have a track day coming up on the 28th of this month. So we're gonna probably do a lot of prep for the car to get it ready. I know the car needs an axle and some other stuff. So let's get started with this wideband install. So here's the heater vent. I took out the climate control. It's just 4 screws, 1 in each corner. So I measured this out. This is 6 1/8 by 2 1/2 right here. So I'm gonna use some dusty ass carbon fiber. And I already have it marked out, so I'm gonna cut this out here. And we're gonna try to fit it in there. We're gonna refinish this, re-clear it or whatnot. Alright, so now that our piece is cut out, so if I mount this in here and have it touch both sides, it's going to angle down, so it's going to make it hard for us to see our gauge. So what I decided to do was line it up at the top, and then you're not really going to see the bottom side too much anyway. So I'm going to probably make like a L bracket and mount it in this corner right here down to here on both sides. Put screws in the front side, so that way if I want to take it out, I'll just unscrew that, and the whole gauge will come out. Alright, so we have the gauge in the carbon fiber now. Basically how I did this was I found a center line, divided the length by 2, and then divided half of that again, and pretty much just got my spacing for this. So right now I'm going to try to think of how I'm going to fabricate these 2 brackets in the corner to mount this up. Alright, so this is what it's going to look like. I'll show you the brackets I came up with. Just little L brackets kinda, but I had to trim the corners off to clear the gauge. And then up on the top I just put some washers in here to hold the top piece in. So that's gonna look pretty good, I think. So I'm gonna have to take this all apart now and sand this, wet sand it, and then re-clear it so it's nice and fresh. But I'll show you that process. But I do have a video that I made probably about a year ago. I'll link that down in the description. The panel's removed now, and this really doesn't look too bad, but there's like a little imperfection right there. So since I'm making a project out of this, I'm just gonna sand it down with some 320, and then I'm gonna wet sand it with 400. So once you sand it down with the 320 and wet sand it with the 400, it'll look like this, super dull. So I'm just waiting for it to dry the rest of the way. And I'm going to use some of this Rust-Oleum clear. You're going to make sure it's non-yellowing and UV resistant. It works pretty good. So you're just going to lay a light coat over top of it, wait about 10 minutes, do a second coat, wait 10 more minutes, do a third coat, and then you should be good to go. So we have the carbon fiber plate installed, the gauge is in there. So all we did on the wiring part is extend the black and the red wire, and then we're going to plug in the harness to this side. Once we get that done, we're going to come over here to the car and remove this console right here. So we have the heater control section out. To get this out, on the bottom of the switch right here, there's like a little groove. You just stick a flathead screwdriver in there and pry it forward, and then there's going to be a clip on the defrost and one for the hazard switch. And then once you pull them out, if you look right in the back of there, you'll see one hole right there one hole right there. Those two will have Phillips head screws. So we're going to go ahead and install the new one. It's the exact opposite how you just took it out. Alright, so I got the vent piece all back in. I wired the gauge up to my little power distribution block down here. I covered that in my gauge video, the first one. It's starting to look like a jungle with all these wires. But everything's working. There's an error because there's no sensor hooked up. So now we're going to work on hooking the sensor up. Alright, so we're going to work on getting this wideband O2 sensor installed. I went underneath the car and looked at the header and the spot where the extra bung is. If I put this in, it's going to hit the intermediate shaft. So what I did was I went to the auto parts store and picked these up. These are spark plug fowlers. I believe this is 18 millimeter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of them, cut that edge off like the threads, and then this is going to be the bung that we're going to use to weld to the header. Here's a before and after comparison so you can see how much I cut off. So right now we're just waiting for the car to cool down so we can take off this exhaust manifold. I have the exhaust manifold off the car. So there's one bung right here in the front. I didn't want to use this one because I would have to run a wire all the way through the engine bay, and I'm just trying to keep everything as neat as possible. So this is the one I was telling you, if I put this here, this will hit the intermediate shaft, so I'm not going to use this one. This is the factory O2 right here. I'm going to keep this hooked up until I learn to use the Honda a little bit better. And so I'm thinking about putting the wideband right next to this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole using these step bits I just picked up, and then just slide this in there and weld it right around the nut. I have the second sensor installed now. Not the prettiest weld in the world, but I don't really care. If you look inside, no lights coming through, so it's sealed up. So right now I'm going to install this back on the car, and then we'll finish getting this O2 sensor hooked up. Alright, so there's the O2 sensor and the wideband O2 sensor. I don't know if you can see, but the wideband's running right into the heater core hole. So I'm going to finish installing this header on the top side, and then we'll start the car up and see if the wideband's working. Alright, so the gauge is installed and it seems to be working. Looks like the car is running about 15.6. It's kind of moving around a little bit, but the car is not all the way warmed up yet. So I'll give it gas. Alright, so that's pretty much going to wrap up the install of the wideband. It's pretty straightforward, just the red and black power in the ground, and then welding in the bung into the exhaust, and then just plugging the sensor in itself. Put this in so I have another reading on the engine, just so I'll know if it's running right or not. Eventually I'm going to end up hooking it into the Honda and one of the analog input ports. But for now, I'm just going to run the stock O2 sensor. But if you have any questions about this, feel free to leave them at the bottom. And like always, I'll get back to you. But until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.